Thanks for joining us. Prosecutors in Georgia are advancing their court case against the City of Brooklyn Park's Public Works Director. Dan Ruiz is accused of committing several sex crimes. He was arrested by Atlanta police last September for rape, aggravated sodomy, false imprisonment, and battery. He was recently indicted in Fulton County Court. Records show he's scheduled to be arraigned and enter a plea next month. At last check, Ruiz was still employed by the city and on leave. A city spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment before this story went to air. A federal program that helps low-income families buy groceries is facing the biggest cut in its history, and now local food banks are sounding the alarm. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill that cuts $290 billion over 10 years to federal farm and nutrition programs like SNAP. The cuts are aimed at reducing the deficit and shifting funds elsewhere. Food banks like Second Harvest Heartland are concerned that cuts will drive more people to visit food shelves.
Last year in Minnesota, we saw nearly 9 million visits statewide to food shelves, and that number has been steadily increasing. And dramatic cuts to SNAP, like the ones that were announced this morning, will just force that number to go up, and it quickly becomes just not sustainable.
The bill needs to be passed by the Senate before it can be signed into law. A true servant leader and one in a million. That's how Plymouth's former longtime police chief and public safety director is being remembered. As we reported, former Chief Mike Goldstein died unexpectedly on Tuesday at the age of 58. His cause of death wasn't revealed, but it was attributed to a medical incident. On Thursday, local leaders reflected on what Goldstein meant to the city.
He really shaped the way that our community viewed policing. He was always very fair, very professional, listened to people. He often said to me, we see people on their worst days experiencing terrible things in their lives. And if you can treat them with compassion and kindness and just listen to them and be open to what they have to say.
Former Plymouth Mayor Kelly Slavic served with Chief Goldstein for 20 years. Goldstein began his career in law enforcement with Plymouth in 1990. He served as chief and public safety director from 2004 until he retired in 2021. His impact on law enforcement was felt well beyond the Plymouth Police Department.
I would consider him probably one of my gold standards on what I've strived to be as a leader in law enforcement. And I mean, he was every bit of what everybody knew him to be in terms of being a mentor, in terms of being engaged, in terms of caring about people.
Departments across the region are remembering Chief Goldstein's commitment to the law enforcement profession. When he retired in 2021, Delane Cleveland put together a retrospective of his career. Here's that report.
You know, in law enforcement, it's not just what we do, it's a part of who we are.
Some people search their whole lives to find their true calling. But for Mike Goldstein,
ever since I was a kid, you know, that's what I wanted to do.
It didn't take long to discover that law enforcement was in his blood.
I was drawn to the TV shows and, playing cops and robbers as a kid and just enamored by the whole process of it.
At the age of 17, Goldstein joined Plymouth's Police Explorer program while he was a senior at Armstrong High School. In 1990, he became a full-fledged officer for the department. In the ensuing years,
this was when I was promoted to captain.
He worked his way through the ranks and was named chief in 2004.
I've got to live out a dream, and a lot of people don't get that chance. So I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted.
During his tenure as Plymouth's top cop, he added a number of major accomplishments on his resume.
We've looked at this, we've studied it.
He helped work with state lawmakers to get cable median barriers installed on highways 169 and 494, which helped to prevent head-on collisions.
Our personnel are ready to respond to anything that they might encounter.
He put a greater emphasis on training, with the officers in the department receiving an average of 130 hours of continuing education each year. And he's also put in a comprehensive health and wellness program for the public safety team.
Broken cops equals broken services. So we need people to be, operating on all cylinders well so that they can treat the community well. And when we do that, that's when we carry out our mission.
Meanwhile, during those 31 years, Goldstein has also seen a number of changes, aside from the hair on his head.
I'm not getting any younger.
Changes both within the city of Plymouth.
We have a more diverse community. We have a community that is, with high expectations of quality service.
And within the law enforcement profession itself.
What we could do back, when I first started in 1990 as a police officer, some of those things we can't do today. And not that they were unethical or illegal or immoral, it was just different standards, different expectations.
Goldstein says there's also different expectations now related to how police deal with communities of color. As Plymouth has become more diverse, he says the department has stepped up efforts toward community outreach to help build trust.
I'm encouraged that more will get done because it now is seated in the front seat. It now has a priority placed upon it. And unfortunately, it took some very awful things to happen for that to occur. We've done a lot of amazing things. We have a great team here that I'm very, very proud of.
And police leaders credit mental wellness initiatives to former Chief Goldstein. The executive director of the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association, Jeff Potts, said, quote, "I think just about every department in the state now pays a lot more attention to officer wellness and making sure they take care of the police officers' mental health and their physical health. We can attribute that movement to Mike Goldstein."
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.